Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live, and we've got a monster of an episode. We've finally delivered. Oh, actually, we've had some good guests, but this would have to be the top of the list. I'm your host, Dan Jones, joined as always by four-time National Road Champion Johnny Trevorrow, Mental Wheels Foundation board member Vaughan McVilly, and of course, the man of the hour. He's sixth on GC, Bahrain Victorious is Jack Haig. Jack, welcome to the Detour, mate. Thanks for joining us.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me on.
So, firstly, how was the rest day? Did you get a good sleep in, mate? I know you love a sleep in.
So, had a good sleep in this morning. Luckily, here at the Vuelta, most of the stages start pretty late.
And, mate, obviously you're in sensational form. It was obviously disappointing what happened at the Tour de France, but coming into this Tour of Spain, it's clear that the legs are there. How are you feeling coming into this last week?
Pretty good, to be honest. Like you said, I had a bit of a crash there in the Tour de France, and it didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. So to come back here and be able to perform well, I'm super happy to be able to show all the hard work that I put in leading up to Tour de France, and then I obviously put in a lot of hard work after I crashed to be able to recover and come back and be here at the level I am. So to perform and show my team, it's a new team that I'm riding for now, so to show them that I'm really committed to the project that they have is something I'm really happy to do.
How has the transition been to Bahrain Victorious and teaming up with the Sheriff?
It's actually been really nice having Stevo here. It's a familiar face. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are very different now, changing from Bike Exchange Michelson to a completely different team. And I had 5 really good years in Michelson Bike Exchange, but I'm super happy where I am now. The team gives me a lot of support and gives me a lot of opportunities to race how I'd like to race, and I feel really grateful to have the opportunity to have led the team in the Tour de France, even if it was just for 2.5 stages, and then now to have the opportunity here that I have a team support all behind me.
There's just one last
not that it's...
You're all right, mate.
Sorry.
Go for
Yeah,
it.
sorry. I thought that you've had bad years. In fact, your career's always been on the up and up, but 2021's been a bit of a standout. You were 5th in the Dauphiné, 7th Paris-Nice. I think you were 7th in Tour de la Provence. Is there something different you did this year with the crash? I mean, it's just like your form's just been just crystal on top there. Is there something different that happened here?
No, not really. I think it's kind of, I've maybe always had a little bit of this potential inside of me, but when I was in Michelson, I was always in a bit more of a support role and maybe didn't have the opportunities to show the level that I was capable of. And I was happy doing the work for Simon Yates or Adam Yates or Esteban, because that was where I was at that moment in my career, and I was happy supporting these guys. And now, instead of doing the support role for them, I'm having people supporting me, so I'm arriving to the final climbs that little bit fresher, and then I can show myself there rather than maybe working a little bit beforehand on the second last climb or at the bottom of the slopes of a final climb to set up Simon, Adam, Chavez. So I think that's mainly the thing that's changed the most.
So at the when the Vuelta started, were you there to support Mikel Landa, or were you both going to be the supported riders? Well,
there was quite a lot of unknown whether I was even going to be at the Vuelta after the crash that I had in the Tour de France. The fracture was actually quite bad, and it wasn't until about 10 days before the Vuelta started that I got the all clear from my surgeon and the doctors to be able to actually race. So there was a lot of unknowns about my condition coming into the race, and it was basically, when I was selected, it was to give me the opportunity to have a Grand Tour in my legs this year, looking more towards next year than actually coming here trying to get a result because no one knew how I was going. I had to take a long time off the bike, and we obviously were coming here with Mikel Landa, who had some really good form, doing quite well in Vuelta a Burgos just before Vuelta a España. So I was here more as a support role and maybe try to get breakaways and just kind of see see how it was.
Mate, we had the sheriff on the other day, and I tell you what, we always talk about his red texter and his green texter. He definitely got the green texter out for you when you supported Lander in those early stages and lost a bit of time. He's like, yeah, nah, bloody Jackie, he's a ripper, mate. So once you get that green texter from the sheriff, mate, you have got full support for the rest of this race. Now, looking at the stages, obviously today's a flat stage, but stage 17 and 18 are obviously the monsters. Is there any one of those two that sort of stand out, or do you think they're sort of on par in their difficulty?
I'm just going through a tunnel, so excuse the
Sure,
light. No,
We'll have to bear with Jack as he gets through this tunnel. I'm sure when he comes out the other side, we'll get him back on. But this is the stage 17 profile, for example. You know, you got a Cat 3, Cat 1, and finishes on their horse category for the final climb. It's looking absolutely filthy. And then stage 18, it doesn't look much better. You got two monster Cat 1s, Cat 2, and a horse category equivalent for the final there. And it's just brutal. I mean, the Vuelta's already been tough enough as it is, and then you look at those two monsters. That's where the race will probably blow apart, Iffy.
There's no doubt about that. I don't think Iking the Viking will still be in the red jersey when they get to finish of stage 17, and then we've got 18. Jack is back, I think.
Can you hear us, Jack? Are you through the tunnel? This is just live podcast and we've lost Jack. He'll click the link again for sure.
Chaos on the podcast.
Yes, that's it.
But what are you expecting in terms of? We talked about it the other day. Are people underestimating Odd Christian Iking the Viking? For this?
I don't believe so. No, I don't believe so. Look, we know he's done absolutely brilliantly, and the Intermarché team has done a wonderful job. But then once the GC guys start really battling it out, he's only still in the lead because they didn't race as hard as they normally would have in those last two stages. So we're talking about stages 17 and 18,
hey boys,
Jack.
sorry.
You're right, mate.
That's fine, mate. Which one do you think is the toughest out of those, or 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other? Jack, stages 17 and 18, which one do you reckon is the toughest?
You there, mate?
At least he's looking definitely more aero than he did previously.
I think stage 18.
Here we go. Yep.
Stage 18. They're using a new climb. Yeah. Sorry.
You're right, mate. There's just a bit of a delay. So when
I think stage 18 is a pretty iconic new stage. I think the climb at the finish there is a new climb they've never used in the Vuelta. So it can be interesting. It's super steep and super long, and I reckon that's probably where the biggest time gaps will come, either on these two stages. Yeah, this is the one here. It's a super steep, maybe like 16 kilometers or like 10% average or something like this.
Yeah, it looks monster.
Nasty.
Does that suit you with the current form that you've got, Jack, like those harder, sharper climbs, or the longer, sort of more the Colombian style climbs?
The sharper climbs are probably a little bit easier to manage, to be honest, because you either have the legs or you don't, and there's not too many tactical decisions need to be made. Whereas on the slightly shallower climbs, there's such a big difference when you're in the wheels of other riders that you need to be a little bit smarter and try and pick the right moves, and it's a bit more of a roll of the dice there. Whereas in these steeper climbs, it's just, if you've got the legs, you can ride away. If you don't have the legs, you can't follow it.
And what sort of tactic, are you going to play? Well, actually, I want to ask maybe a slightly curly question. A couple of stages ago, you came over the top. Roglic had a crash, and you and Lopez and Mas sort of caught him, and there was a little bit of chat between you and Lopez, were you sort of saying to Lopez, let's hit him on the descent and see if we can drop him, or can you let us know what you're having a chat about?
Rodlich, I actually rode past up to Rodlich and asked him if he was all right, just checking in to see if he was okay, to be honest. And then I was having a bit of a conversation with Lopez because I was a little bit confused why he wasn't as interested to work together to put time into, not Rodlich, but time in Bernal and Adam Yates that were in the group behind us. And I think it was because Henrik Mas was having a bit of a bad day, struggling a little bit on the downhill there. It was quite tricky, and he was actually trying to slow up the pace, so we didn't drop Henrik.
And can I just follow up that question? Because you're obviously a pretty good bike handler. I think you were under 23 mountain bike champ from memory way back in the day. Your descending is pretty amazing and epic. Do you see that there's a possibility or a chance to get some time on someone like a Mass who seems to struggle a little bit on the downhills?
I think we've got internet problems again.
I must again.
Or he's in deep thought. Yeah, I think because they're obviously going from the hotel to the start and Spanish internet. I mean, you're going out into some real bush areas. It's obviously going to drop in and out. But we'll see how we go. We'll stick with him for the next couple of minutes and hopefully the Wi-Fi will kick in. Can you hear us now, Jack? Anything can happen on the detour. As they say, it is Wi-Fi chaos.
Maybe, Jack, if you just re-click in, cut out and cut him back in, see how he goes. Yeah.
That famous IT bit of brilliance, mate. Turn it off and turn it back on again.
I did get some images from the sheriff. He said they were staying in a nice little town. Where did he say? In Santa Lina de Mar, famous little village, the north of Spain. And he sent through some photos. So a bit of culture. That's a nice little village there. Beautiful. And then obviously he has to send a random photo of him in the car just to make sure we know he's around, the old sheriff.
Talking about culture, was that your tummy I heard rumbling just a few seconds ago, Dan?
No? Not mine.
No?
Not mine. No. Yeah, Jack just said, hey, mate, sorry, 4G keeps crapping itself. So, fully understand. But there's some great insights there. And you'd have to think that, I mean, if the top two guys like Martin and the Viking, hang on, we're back again. Jack, can you hear us, mate?
Hey.
Yeah, I got your voice. Sorry, the internet's not so good at it.
That's fine, mate. We get this all the time. It's not a drama.
So I'd just like to, my question is, while we got you, is what's your actual plan of attack in these stages 17 and 18? Have you got something that you're planning to do? We'll keep it really secret. We won't tell anybody.
No, I think there's not any really big plans. Obviously, I'll look for any opportunity of weakness, especially in Lopez. He's my biggest competition for the podium, and that's kind of the goal I have now for Vuelta. Is if I can finish on the podium, that would be an amazing achievement. I'd be incredibly happy with that. And basically, the only rider that is in that third position now is Lopez, unless one of these first two riders, Odd, Christian Hiking and Gaum, don't lose any time, then we're all a bit screwed because they've got quite a lead there from the breakaway stage. So I'm going to try to look to put any time I can into Lopez and then hopefully do a really good time trial at the finish there.
Yep. I think we just got in Iffy's question there. It's all good. So I think we've got pretty good insights there. But Jack, obviously the Wi-Fi is playing up, but we really appreciate you coming on the detour for those insights, mate. It's fantastic, and we're obviously pretty parochial here, being an Aussie and being a former Green Edge boy. We want to see you do well, mate, and we're really excited for this last week.
This is not a question, but hopefully you can hear this. I just have a theory about your career. Like, you started off at Hugh and Salmon, where the kit was mostly orange and a bit of red, and being a fellow ginger, I think now that you've gone back to a team that's got a lot of orange on the bike, and the ginger ninja is just going to come out, and you're going to end up on the podium. So good luck, mate.
Sensational. I love it. and just to reinforce that. I
appreciate it.
I reinforce that. I've just written a story today for the world famous Geelong Advertiser, and I've said that you are going to get on the podium come Sunday. So no pressure.
You've stumped him.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
No worries, Jack. Good luck, mate.
Okay, mate. See you, pal.
Jack Haig, bloody superstar. It's just a shame about the internet, but we got enough of the good answers in there, so we really appreciate his time. Look, guys, we're going to take a quick drinks break and have a quick word from Bike Exchange and Amy Gillett Foundation. We'll talk more Vuelta after the break.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Life is like a two-way street. It's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. The Amy Gillett Foundation is Australia's peak cycling safety charity. Our mission is for safe cycling in Australia. Our vision is for zero cyclist deaths. Over the last year, we've seen an enormous increase in people taking up cycling, whether it be for recreation, with the family, commuting, or even to start your own cycling career. We need to do more to make it safer for every cyclist. 20 cyclists every day are hospitalised, and 1 cyclist is killed every 10 days on Australian roads. So, the next time you jump on your bike or hop in your car, remember to practice the 4 C's. Be courteous, calm, considerate and conscientious. Every cyclist death is preventable, and we all deserve to get home safely. Please donate to help the Amy Gillett Foundation make the roads safer for you and for me.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange, of course, and some great messages there from the Amy Gillett Foundation. And speaking of the Amy Gillett Foundation, we've got some new designs coming in for the Apex Custom AUS.com kit comp, Vaughan.
Mate, it's actually been really, really fantastic to see. We've had entries coming from all over Australia, which is pretty exciting. So some new ones, some pretty out there ones, and it's been fantastic. Fantastic to see. It's had my design team going full bore. Like, look at this full-on crazy one. This guy did both jersey and bibs. Yeah, full on.
Yeah.
And there's the bibs, and then we've got another bright one. It's a bit more artistic.
Yeah.
And then this one, it's probably not on brand, but geez, it looks good. If you're basing on looks, it looks like the superhero Black Panther.
No. Too dark. I love it, but too dark.
So So I'm going to put something out there. The dark with something light is sometimes a good thing too. If you've got you've got black with some brighter colours. But yeah, that's a little bit too dark, that one. But we're really stoked to see everyone having a crack. We had a guy from country New South Wales send one in today. We had another guy from Brisbane send one in. So the reach is far, and we're getting some fantastic entries into this competition. So yeah, it's good fun.
We've got a few comments. Obviously, Wendy Superfan, she's always first. Hi guys, best of luck for Jack for the rest of the Vuelta. Skull, that's why we love the podcast. Anything can happen. Exactly. Damon Spike says, "Hey, you will smash Roglic today. He will be crying in Slovenian." Free Ranger, NASA told the Apollo crew to cycle the equipment. We call it turning off and back on. That's always what you do.
Yep.
And Samantha says, Australian Cycling Paralympics team is just so awesome. Congrats to all of them, particularly Darren Hicks. I saw a race in Radelaide. Been watching much of the Paralympics, Iffy?
Yeah, well, I've been watching the highlights and I've been watching it regularly, and I felt so much for that triathlete who got caught on the post. I mean, how and got held up by for coming into the finish for a few seconds by someone else. It cost the win. But anyway, that's the way it goes.
I've just done some podcast fishing. I've put it out there for Julian Dean at your request, Iffy. It's a good idea. We'll hopefully get a bite, but we'll have to hang five. I think one of the interesting points that Jack was talking about earlier is the lack of opportunities he felt that he was getting at Green Edge, and then he comes into a new environment, Iffy, and he's able to be that protected rider. And it sort of says that he's always had this ability in him, comes to a new team, gets these opportunities, and he's starting to flourish.
Well, just to give, to be fair to Team Bike Exchange, that was their plan as well. And as Jack just said, he was, that was the right role for him at the time. And this was the year that they always planned for him to become the man. And the Tour de France was the event they were going to do it for, actually. So, but he already decided to move on, and maybe they didn't tell him what they were going to do. I don't know, but sometimes you just need a change. He'd been there for a while, and things happen. But I know that Team Bike Exchange had planned for Jack to be a leader this year, and probably in the Tour de France.
Mm. Yeah, for sure.
I was going to swing in from the Belters over here on that topic, because I think that's you're 100% right. If there is your career, you don't just be a superstar right from the get-go. I mean, I know we've had Pogacar come and hit the ground running as a young bloke, but a lot of these riders, they need to go through their career and learn how to be a leader and learn how to be a good team person and learn a whole heap of skills before that they can come and actually survive with the pressures and that sort of stuff of being a 3-week race.
How to get a bid off the team car, and all of those things you've got to learn. That's true.
That's right. Yeah.
Look, you're right, but you know what? The thing is that the sport of cycling has changed so much in the last 2 years. I mean, probably Bernal was the first real youngster to come out and win the Tour at such a young age, and everyone just thought that was just something that's never going to happen again. And then along come the Pog, and he's done it as well. So, and it's made everyone rethink. So, the structure that everyone thought you had to go through, the time frame that they thought you had to do, is being rethought by everyone. So. Maybe it probably could have been done a year earlier. Very similar with Caleb Ewan. I felt that Green Edge kept him a lot at back 1 year too long. He should have ridden the Tour de France before he did, and that's why he left. So these youngsters, they're ready to go these days, and now all the data is showing that. So it's just got to be managed differently, but. We don't have the long apprenticeship. It ain't there anymore.
Well, it's an interesting point because, obviously teams are trying to fill their list with the best group they can. I mean, remember the old days when these old riders that had won tours in the past and they were still getting massive contracts? I mean, if you were a manager, what would you be looking for? The young up and coming talent, or
young up and coming, mate?
Exactly.
Those old guys are dinosaurs now, and they're not going to get those big contracts anymore. The teams are looking for ways to get rid of them. Even though they're still good bike riders, but they're not going to be, doing, Nibali and people like that. Their day is done. And it is the youngsters coming up that are going to get the contracts. Why wouldn't you? Why would you spend, €3 million on someone who's not going to win another Grand Tour and isn't going to be, the exciting young prospect that these kids are showing to be. And there's a stack of them around. You just look at all these Aussies, Michael Storer, Jay Vine, Chris Hamilton, these kids, Jai Hindley, Ben O'Connor, these guys, it's just a bright new world.
And they're talking about, look at Jay Vine. He's come through the Zwift Academy. He had a crash when he was trying to get a bid in or whatever. Vaughan, you got the One Wood out today. I don't want you to repeat exactly what you said, but it was all about, people saying cycling's more dangerous now, and the problem is the descents and, bike handling and things like that.
Yeah, I just think that I did get the One Wood out today. I read a couple of comments, and then I got a couple of private comments about just how dangerous the sport is. And for me, the alarm bell that immediately rings to me is that we're not going to be encouraging kids to do a sport that's really dangerous. So, and grassroots is what it's all about for our sport. And so, and I'm just seeing more and more people getting extremely strong on your, the Zwifts and those sorts of things, but not actually getting coaching and the mentor and the training and the time on the bike to learn how to do the basics, which is sometimes as simply as being able to clip in and out of your pedals with both your left foot and your right foot. It might sound ridiculous to some people, but how many people can't clip out of their pedal with their left foot, and so they end up falling over it seems to be in what I'm seeing getting more and more. And so, and then people are saying it's too dangerous and we need to get rid of descents because, that comment the other day about like the descent being, too steep and too fast. It's like back in the day, Iffy, you'd know, like I've seen a picture of Iffy and my old man with their bike on their shoulder running. Like the road was that shit that they couldn't even ride on it, and the descent's gravel. They're going around corners with old bikes that are still and they're still bombing descents at a million miles out. They're still falling off. They're still getting some bark off, and there's still always going to be crashes. But I think it needs to come back to, learning your craft and yeah.
those two things on the end of the handlebars, they're called brakes. And if you're going too fast, you squeeze them and they slow you down. It's amazing how that works.
Wow.
You just... Vaughan, you just reminded me of one of my favourite photos. I have to dig it up.
If you say the bloody Bay Crits.
No. It's back in the old Sun Tour days, and it's Vaughan's. It was one of the wettest tours we've ever had. There were floods everywhere. And we're riding through this flood out the back of Bendigo somewhere, and there's a fall, and Macca falls, and all that you can see of Graham McVilly is his head. So everyone's sort of riding through, and the water up above the bottom, almost to our knees, and Macca's, I don't know where he's fallen off the edge of the road because you couldn't see the edge of the road. Down he's gone, and suddenly his head pops up, and I remember laughing my head off. So I've got to dig that photo up. Great photo.
Tom Maloney says, young riders may win first up, but there's still a whole lot they need to learn to have an enduring career. Fair point, Iffy?
Yeah. No, Tommy is a legend. He's raced around the world. He was part of our crew when we went over there in '73, the Aussie crew racing all those races. Speaks fluent Spanish. He speaks Spanish as good as a Spaniard. He's something he studied, but for sure. And look, we're being probably a tad hard on Jay Vine as well. I know he came up through the Zwift Academy and that, but he wasn't just. He was a serious racing before through the NRS. I think he finished fifth in a Herald Sun.
It was an easy dot to join, John. You know what you're doing.
And
sledge.
I definitely wasn't having a crack at Jay Vine either. I mean, I can't remember what year it was, but I think it might have even been someone like George Hincapie. Like, it's quite easy to stuff up a little bid and hold sometimes when shit's going down. Like, they weren't going slow either, and he just, that's a whole new ball game. Yeah.
I can remember in the Giro, I was earlier on when I was really struggling. I sort of came good by the end, and it was a hot day, and I'd been drinking too much Coke, and I got a really bad stomach ache. So the doctor's car comes up to me, and we're on a climb. So I'm hanging on, and he's having a look. And so I thought, this is okay. I'm feeling better. If I keep hanging on over this hill, I'll be right. And then finally the doctor says, I think you must let go of the car. No, we let go. Anyway, good old days.
That reminds me of another story, Iffy. I may have got kicked off a bike race that you were running in Tasmania once because one of my riders got stuck behind a crash that was unfortunate, and then their team car blocked the road and we couldn't get our spare bike to our rider. And so I did the old sticky bidding out the window, but unfortunately I went past a commissaire, an ambulance, with my rider at the time out the window, like driving at 1,000,000 miles an hour to try and get him back onto the back of the bunch. And then at the finish line, I got dragged over and said, "You're not allowed to do that."
Mate, one of the best car bingles I ever saw was the 2012 Tour of California when Sheriff took on Jonathan Vaughters in the convoy, and we had a rider coming back. I can't remember who it was, and they were getting treatment. And Vaughters almost collected him, and then Steve-O's vein filled with blood, and he went in front and clipped the car, and then Steve-O went up alongside him and swung in and clipped his car, and I was just like shit myself thinking this is going to be road rage in the actual race. And then the commissaire came up and had the whistle out. You know what it's like in America, they're really hamming it up. He's like, no, he only hit me first. He's trying to justify like a school kid in trouble. But like those on the road, like particularly in the car convoys, like if you ever have that experience being in the convoy, it is horrific. Like if for the first time, you are so on the edge of your seat, and the skill set required for these drivers, like, oh mate, there's been so many guests that have gone in the cars as guests and come out and just white as a ghost. But, yeah.
I remember we were over in America when I took the Jayco team away. Back in 94, I think, 93 or 94. Scotty McGrory was in it. It was a really good team. We rode a whole stack of races. And one of them was the Tour of West Virginia, which was virtually a World Tour race. I think there was 6 or 8 World Tour teams there. Or whatever
John Denver fans.
Then. Yeah, Lance and all of that. Phil Anderson, back in his heyday. Great race. Anyway, the day before the race, I was going out for a ride and managed to blow a tyre and knock myself out. A great big lump over my head. In the cartoon when you see someone with a black eye and they paint that thing, that's what I had, like a black eye like that. Anyway, so here I am driving the car in the convoy, and I have no memory of that day. I shouldn't have been there. I had severe concussion.
Oh, you reckon?
And on the descent, I found out there was a big accident. A motorbike, one of the medium motorbikes hit a car. They went into the ditch and whatever. And then we get to the finish, and they're telling me all about it. I said, gee, I wonder if I caused that. But evidently, I did the whole day on remote control, but I've been doing it for a while. And I got through, but I shouldn't have been there. Anyway, good story.
Hey, you talked about coming good at the end of your Giro. I'll tell you a rider that is coming good is Pidcock. Geez, do you reckon he's going to have it in him? He's just the unknown in terms of.
I reckon he'll win. Stages. I reckon he'll win one of these stages. I do.
Yeah.
I think one of those stages that they let the break go, more probably towards those last couple, especially that second last day.
Maybe stage 20.
That last one. That's a day. I think the break will go that day. I think the GC will be decided. That's actually a bit harder than it looks. When you look at those other monster ones, you think, oh, this. But they're Cat 1s, Cat 2s, and there it is there. A Cat 1 in there and Cat 2s. They're not like their little bumps. But that'd be the type of stage I reckon he could win. That's one of the ones that Bike Exchange is going to need to get someone like Schultz into the break. be something like he'd be good for that one too.
We're talking about-
man,
Yeah.
so I was going to say that Schulte's like looking good for that stage as well. I reckon it was funny actually the other night, Dan. I'm watching the race, and Pidcock was in that breakaway, and I'm like, Pidcock's going to win this stage. No, he's on here. And then literally 2 minutes later, Bardet attacked. I went, or maybe Bardet.
I got a text from you saying exactly that. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, text. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Like 5 minutes. I was like, no, it's not gonna happen.
It's always the way when we make big statements, the Will Wizard comes in with his little whispers. Pidcock has tendonitis. So maybe we might need to retract. Alan Skull says, my hand is in the air. I've hung on to a car in a race. So far behind, it didn't matter. It was only to get to the finish before dark. Fair enough.
I can remember a quick story. Tour of Tasmania. In the younger days, I think I was only about 18. And we got, it was one of those really hard days. We used to go starting in Launceston, up to Scottsdale, and then right over the mountains, finish in St. Helens. And it was a monster day. Freezing cold, raining, all of that sort of stuff. Anyway, there's a whole group of us. We're at the last climb before the 30 kilometres of flat to St. Helens. And we're all hanging on to, Dad had a big Chevy, but we're all hanging on to this Chev. And we catch this guy, a Tasmanian guy, I can't think of his name, but he was a stickler for the rules. And we said, and he said, let go of the car. I said, nah, just hang on here. Hang on to my hand. Nope, he refused. So over the top we went. And then we let the car go and we all rode on to the finish. Well, he put a complaint in and we finished like about... Well, official called us over and he said, we've had a complaint, hung on to the car. I said, well, hang on to the car. We've finished 45 minutes behind the leader. We didn't do very well at hanging on to the car. So he said, yeah, true, he let us off.
That was basically that story my year that thing happened, right? That crash happened. It was neutral. We went out of Launceston and then a fairly new team to the NRS lined it up because it was a bit of a sharp hill, like sharp corner over a thin bridge and then up this hill. The whole team crashes, right, on the front of the bunch. And my young bloke that was in that team, I think he was about 10th, but, we weren't expecting him to finish top 40 at the time. But, I was like, I've got to give him the best chance that he can. And the whole team waited for him. There was a heap of really young kids. And 1 minute I was like on the phone. I remember like sending a message to, it might have been Trent Wilson going, whereabouts are you? And he told me, and I'm from Tassie. So I was like going, we're nearly 40 minutes behind. Like this race is done and dusted. So I tried to get all of my riders to the finish line within the time cut. But yeah, of course, a couple of people complained and whinged and moaned. It was like, oh God, we weren't even close to, unreal.
Hey, back to the today's stage, Iffy, this is one of the last rolls of the dice for your man who you've tipped for 11 stages. Michael Matthews.
I think it is the last roll of the dice, but I give him a good chance because...
Of course you do. Of course you do. Why are you going to change now? Why are you going to change now? Jeez, he needs to win for your sanity, I think.
No, that's fine. But the thing is, if they do everything right, he's normally... a length or so, like a really good stage early on when he ran third behind Jacobson and Phillipson. He was still right there. Now, one's gone. The other one is looking a little bit dicey. He spat the dummy when he couldn't hold the wheel the other day, so he's getting a bit testy. And I don't think he's going near as quick. So they all come back a little bit, where Bling won't have because he is so strong. So he'll be able to still sprint at his best. So it evens it all up. So I give him a chance today.
All right.
And the finish is just wicked, man. Like it's another one of those stages that you don't stay up for, but you watch the last 3 kilometres because they come down the 301, which is a big sort of, well, not a wide freeway, but a bit of a freeway. And then through the red banner with a kilometre to go, and then they go hard left, and I mean like nearly a full 180 on themselves and go back down with about 750 metres to go. There's like a little Spanish takeaway. People are going to be eating like little yummy, cheesy, meaty Spanish morsels and having a few beers as they go, just hoping that there's going to be a crash, and there probably is going to be. And then they turn hard left, and then it's a big drag race up to the finish line. So it's going to be a good to watch.
that Google Earth works well, doesn't it, Vaughan?
Oh, mate, I was in there. I went right down there. There was actually someone holding a cerveza and one of those cheesy morsels. I'm like, oh, well, that must be where they're going to turn.
So, all right, what is your plan for Luca? You're in the team bus right now, and you're trying to map out the plan, knowing that that's the last park. Or do you just back yourself and hit him, or do you just try and react and stay calm and try and follow a wheel?
Go back to what they were doing early on. I mean, trying to do the big lead out. Don't become the lead out train for the others. Going back what they were doing early on. Luca is fantastic. Now, all the guys are going to be in, but don't do it too early. They got forced to the last time. That is true. I mean, if they didn't go when they did, I said 6K, I think it was 10K to go, then Jay probably would have won it. But someone else. But sometimes you've got to play poker and get someone else to roll the dice. Make quick step to roll
the wolf pack.
Dice. The wolf pack. Yeah. If they haven't eaten each other all up by the
eating the cubs.
Exactly. But look, they've got the team to do it. Mezgets is a really, really crucial part of it. But they have got the team to do it. So if they play it really smart, big chance today.
All right, if you've got your script ready, mate, we want to give an update for the loudest silent auction, and that is brought to you by the Miller Resorts. Go to miller.com, and it's a 5-night for 2 adults and 2 children on an oceanfront villa. It's breakfast and dinner, and I can guarantee you, Jason and the team will look after you. Here's the video, Johnny.
Discover a tropical playground of powdered sugar sand, lush jungle, and crystalline waters. The Maldives luxury resort reeks of timeless style and endless bliss. Stand by for unexpected treats and indulgences. Delighting and surprising you is their hallmark. The Miller's motto is to exceed your expectations. The sky is the limit.
Oh, geez, your timing's getting good, isn't it? And if you do want to have a bid on the auction, you send in to john@cyclingevents.com.au.
We haven't bid in 2 days. We're still at the 5,250. So,
How old do the kids have to be?
Well, if they roll up with a mustache, I think it's a giveaway. But I don't know, maybe up to 12.
Are you trying to be one of the kids, board or what? Yeah.
I don't know. There's 3 of us. We can find one more. We'll go 25 apiece, and away we go.
Look, I'm sure Jason will find a way. If it's an adult fudging it as a kid, he'll fold out a bed, or they'll work it out.
And this I'll put a big nappy on and see how you go, mate. W them out.
So it's all to raise.
Maybe Hugo. Sorry.
It's all to raise money for the Kareka Foundation and get behind Phil Liggett's Peloton. KARIEGA.co.za/Peloton. It's all for a good cause. And if you followed us throughout the Tour de France, you know it's something he's pretty passionate about. So, keep those bids coming in. Now, obviously, at the end of the show, we always want to talk about things to do to get through lockdown. And we've mentioned a few times now the Mental Wheels Foundation. Vaughan, you guys doing some great work. mentalwheelsfoundation.org. One tip I can give you is in lockdown, things frustrate you a little bit easily, so be very careful when you're doing a flat pack. I bought some balcony furniture and I tell you, it was one of those situations where I was really proud of myself. I built the couch and then I started on the other footrest and I'm like, why the hell are they've done me over here? The screws don't fit. I've used the wrong screws on the couch, so I've had to undo that. And so be very mindful of that. Flat packs.
Easy
lockdown.
To go and buy some more screws, but you can't get into Bunnings at the moment. So
no, I'm screwed. I'm literally screwed over the screws, so I've got to start again. But as you said, John, you've got a really good email, and we encourage people, to share your little tips. john@cyclingevents.com.au. Share your advice, things that you're doing throughout lockdown to get through.
Yeah, we
John?
did have a really nice look. I've had a whole stack of emails, but there was one today that touched a spot with me. I was having a hard old day myself today. I had some grandkids that was homeschooling because my daughter is a
imagine if he having Iffy as a school teacher. Mate, it's like that Kevin Bloody Wilson song, the kid that swears a little bit.
Well, we worked it out. We had recess started early. We went over the road and played footy. But anyway, that's another story. But no, I got a really nice email, and it was actually he talked about his anger at people not doing the right thing in this whole COVID situation, and it was starting to piss him off. And then it was things that you'd said, Dan, that made him realise, you know what, I can only adjust what I can control myself, and so he took that on board, and because he was starting to not want to even mix with people, and so that's helped him a lot. And I really liked the email because in the end, he said how he loved the Bakerits. He's been going to it forever, so I got an ad in. But his wife loves the show too, and she calls it chaos. So we're watching chaos tonight. Yes, we're watching chaos. I really, it was nice.
Yeah, fantastic. Vaughan?
Well, the one thing I'm just going to add to that is, so what is the action that you do, right? Because like it's actually pretty hard when you work out that the screws that you were supposed to put on that side of the IKEA bed were supposed to go on that side, and that's when the red mist is rising in the eyeballs, it's up there, right? And so some of the most simplest things, and it happens right through our lives, and I've been lucky enough to call Brad McGee a good mate of mine, and he and to go to some of his training camps and watch him talk to his athletes about this stuff that I'm about to talk about, which works perfectly for every human being, is breathing. And one of the best things that you can do to just calm yourself down is to stop and take 5 breaths. It sounds as simple and as stupid as ever, but if you just stop and go, okay, I'm just going to take 5 breaths, I'm going to walk away from this thing, I'm going to forget about those screws, and I'm just going to take 5 really, really slow breaths and then come back to something, I can guarantee it will change the outlook on where you were at previous to those 5 breaths. So there's a very small little tip, but I can guarantee you that it works.
Yeah. So take 5 breaths and don't put your foot through the pot plant.
Exactly.
I felt your pain when you were telling me earlier, Dan, because just recently, my darling wife and I put together a flat pack garden shed, a 6x4 garden shed. It said 2 adults, 2 hours. Didn't say husband and wife. That's always an issue. But over 2 days, 2.5 days later, it was finished. 2 hours.
And it still leaks.
No, it's good.
Oh, gee. All right, so tips for stage 16. Bling, Vaughan, you're going to go against Bling?
No. Bling.
All right.
I'm going to do it.
Please.
I love him.
Please.
Just get up.
Win. Yeah, Gary Tilley, last one, he says, 5 breaths and walk to the fridge and grab a beer.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right. We'll be back again tomorrow night, folks. Thanks for your company. YouTube.com/the Detour Podcast. Really appreciate all your support, and a massive thanks to Jack Haig, absolute superstar. We really hope he has a massive final week of this for Vuelta, and we'll see you again tomorrow night. Thanks, Vaughan. Thanks, Iffy. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is the winning ride